Once use not sure. Type it this one. This one. Yeah, got it. Yeah, got it. Yes. Native type it. You probably was living it. Teacher singing it. Lasso. Artiso.
Something.
Lasso. Okay. Oh, lasso. Sanje Chedang Chodi
Jonam Sobi Jonam Law, Janju
Daniel Jasus, Taji Chichen Sanje Jobara, Sanje
Jordan Sobi Jonam Janju Badu
Daniel Jasus, Taji Chichen Sanje Jobara, Sanje Chedang
Sobi Jonam Law, Janju
Badu
Dani Gafuji,
Taji Chichen Jo Dayan Tan Gaden Gaden Para Song Gaden Bodhisattva Dayan Tan Gaden Para Song Gaden Bodhisattva Dayan Tan Gaden Para Gaden Song Gaden Bodhisattva. 원래 또 다슴제 탐제거든도 토자라나 맞아봐 산제 공부를 보자 진행자 토바자 뒤쳐도 다까지 장주 선발랍자는 추천을 나와래 신고를 토고 되지수만 넣어서 거기 안 가수 봐봐도 다까지 주주고 슈팅 얘기 인상도 어떤 공부자.
And we begin by setting our motivation, which is to do whatever we possibly can to attain the purest state of enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. We know that in order to do so, we must have a good understanding of the trainings on the Bodhisattva path, and that to gain that understanding, we need to be able to rely upon an unmistaken text. And it is thus with this in mind that we are here this morning to listen to just such a text, the Bodhisattva's Way of Life by the great master Shantideva. Chokran de Gyatang Nishu Sakshi. Gyatang Nishu Sakshi. Negone, Niba, Ewe Cho Dube Chokran Lapala.
Somebody could sort Chidachawa. What did we?
Yes.
Kanjaji Liu, Mojota Liu Tirwa, Liu Nava. Xixin Sungas. Rotan Temba de Xixin Sakaja Janju Sim, Tassimje Tamjego Sanje Goma to Rege, Takanjaja, Lamla Laund, Tak, Narato let on board into, Ya, take Tada Nomo to son Yoga Yinza, and Kochik Kasodata, Chik Kaso Totu Niasum Kande Yimba in there. Togu Yunare, Sagu Yunare, Tegu Yunare, Negu Yunare, Tiduki, and the Temba de Xixin. Geshe in Jimmy come to get to Marwa. Go to in a Geshe Masona, and now should the Metin Brigade, Nesuma Bujongu Yuba, or that Chicaso Geshe Shishing Charachi at Sunguyorba, Charachi the Sungara, Suma, Chiki Negu Sogi, Rata Bichiki, Negu Sogi, set and Chitaka, some contestant, Yakutu, Diana, Negu Sogi Taka. Sechida Javanese at Zawale. Near the good talk to Baham. Yoko Dundo near to Baham. Dasa Rindo Jedona, there's a shinshi never chasm.
You get on you should up chicken.
And you stop here. Oh, go on. I get yard on the funny. Oh, yeah, you should stop shit. Yeah.
They go there because I need to give it to do bit sorts and lap.
Oh, what it? What I get what you do, some gentle or the Takanja or the Takanja, what the legend. Red time you that Liu Shishin. So Liu Tagara, what Tagara? Never get to do it to him song to the lava, to them song to the lava, to them las and Milobe. To the Chitim Milobe to Lula Chabapanga, because a Chitim la Milobe to Lula Chabapanga. And gave a church to Wala Kabachawa. what in the subject nature. That and what the Tutumla Miloba Chene, Takanja Rang Rashing Lula, that Chaba Pawala, Nachena, Lula Chaba Miri Be, Lu Mizawa Gomba, Lula Nimbu Meva Sama, Lula Chabara, Lula Chabar, Mirigwe Jumse, Nuto Jibe, Gewala Goba, Riba Watch.
And so we have we stopped at at chapter number 5, known as the chapter on mindfulness, and that this is of course something which is absolutely essential, and especially as beginners, as us beginners on the path to train the mind in Buddhism in general, to train on the train ourselves in the teachings in general. We must have this mindfulness combined with alertness. These two mental factors combined to keep an eye on how we're doing at all times, because of the prevalence of the 3 poisonous attitudes of attachment, aversion, and ignorance. Because wherever we are, whatever we're doing, we're moving, eating, sleeping even, that if we are not guarded by mindfulness and alertness, then these 3 poisonous attitudes will take over the mind. So from a beginner's point of view, then there's not a particular time for practicing mindfulness and alertness. It should be a 24/7 attitude. And so with that in mind, we're picking up from where we left off some months ago on this text, on verse number 59. And so the intro into this verse is that we are now looking at the second aspect of ethical conduct. We're looking at the ethical conduct of the combining all virtuous dharma, and that this is going to be dealt with in 2 main headings. So the first is that the necessity of abandoning attachment, because this is the main reason why we do not train well in ethical conduct. Secondly, becoming an expert, gaining expertise at accumulating virtue. So the first of these has 5 subheadings. This is generally all around this subject of attachment. And so it's saying here it's incorrect, to the example why it's incorrect to have attachment to the body. Secondly, meditating on the lack of cleanliness of the body. Thirdly, reflecting on the essencelessness of the body. And fourthly, how the reasoning why it is incorrect to have attachment to the body. And fifthly, an exhortation to virtue, because the body will quickly disintegrate. So we're looking at the first of these, verses number 59 and 60.
Ojata Lula Chaba Miribe Peche, Lumi Sanwa, Combatica Troswa, Lula what in the Senate. Tatambutera, Lula Chaba Miribe Pe, Reta Ganja Casula, Lula Chaba Miribe Penny, Penny Takaja Zawaliam. Jago Shala Chaba Yi Penzu Kundu Shilchi Jang. Yiki Migar Mijena, Tata Chichir Kadacha. Lu de Dagi Songjana, Yiki Chichir Songacha. Kyojan Dini Sosona, Degochola Chichacham.
And so, verses number 59 and 60. If, mind, you are not made unhappy when this body is dragged and tossed about by vultures greedy for flesh, then why are you so concerned about now? Holding this body as mine, why, mind, do you guard it so, since you and it are separate? What use can it be to you?
Changni Kasola, Takanja, Changni, Tapendo, never Sugu, but Takajana, so the Shiwetsene, Namshina, Takanja, Tse Pemazon, Shitogre. Shiwetse, Jig Pena, Jig May pushing Mela Tagu in the log Tagu and a Demenerida on Tapina, Jig Jaguela Soba, Simtapena Pelinata, Lu Jaguela Pachingrwa. Jaguela Chingrwa, what Chibatangra water, Jaguel Sob, yes, la taba chingre o de jana an chakwa ye lu de penzu kundo she de ta de ba lu ba sha jana de ta de ka so de le ga le ga jo de pa sha ti de an pa ja go ya te ma te ji wa ta tenja sen ju mi ka jana mo ne jana mi ka wa che ko so de de mi ka ke chi ma ra was ka sa ro ta ka sa mi ka sa mi jena 다다 지제 카다자 다다 단다 아니 시고지 개체 못 쓰네 디제다 가르쳐 지고 여서 카다 지어서 자 어떻게 실라다
So here's the point is made, and of course it's referring to the time of death. You know, when we die, this life is finished, and one must go on, and saying what happens to the corpse at that time. And so we can have various ways of disposing of the bodies, and the reference here to, you know, the idea of vultures and so on tearing the body apart was the practice in Tibet, whereas the body was dismembered first and left out for the vultures and so on. And they would then, of course, pull the various parts of the body back and forth, tossing them about and so on. And that the question is here, saying if you're visualizing this and you have no attachment to what's going on, then why are you attached to that same body now? You know, it seems a pointless sort of idea of attachment. And so that, you know, the question is, you know, you should really get over this sense of clinging and attachment to the body now, since this is what it's fated for.
카다차 루이데 다기 송체는 이게 지체 송아 차차 최자 되니 소소나 되고 졸라 지시 자스다 어째 다 된데 임사다 루이데 다기 송아 제나 다수 다기 송아 제네 제베 취제 이게 지체 송아 제다 지기디 촌촌 카천을 대주 매버 소리 매버 차주 매버 소리 된데 그래서 최 지체 송아 지기 유스 그래서 문에 제나 송을 그면도 와스 최다 루이니데 류니보 소소와 이메 최기자 류디 뉴도도 대자 최도외나 대고대 류텔라 최라 지시 자고스나 근데 이거 인사 아 류디 문에 전에 다 근데 샤샤나 소소라 펜토에 가야미도 봤어 펜토에 가야미도 봤어 지시 자고 샤바고샤 다 어디를 쳤다 그래 단단 모습 배주 단단내시 제바이나 안에 들에 차고에 가야매 되겠지 차고에 가야매 되겠지래도 왔어
And the second verse follows a similar logic and saying, this body that you really cling to as mine, you know, it's saying that why is it that you guard it so? Why is it that you protect it so? That this is incorrect, it's inappropriate, because this body and your mind, are separate entities, and this body will be quickly discarded. And so why is it that you are so concerned at this stage when that this kind of attachment is of no benefit to you?
This one, and that Luchom Yomare Lula Takuja, this Muyomata. Because this way the Garsanata, Narazo Tanda Lubeju Tanda Job. Narazo Lubeju Tanda T, Nomu Gula Beju Tantuach. Church be Twingela Beju Matanich. That teacher was that argument those. That Narazo Samatanda didn't she ever enough, and it did Ludi Coral Pendo Yomares. Pendo Yomares. That winnet and a pento was so Ludi and it Casota Nimbulian to Bachiburas Muyorvata. Because Nomo gave a Gula Mondo, Nomo do a Gula to Socrates. Me Namjuti Tonel.
And so here, one needs to qualify, of course. It's not the question that, you know, because of this attachment, this presentation of the body, therefore, is being of no benefit to you. Not like then you should actually, you know, get rid of it. It's here, of course, we have a body. This is where we're at. We have to engage in caring for the body. But if this it's at the moment, if this care, so-called care for the body, is only to facilitate one's mental affliction, promoting one's mental affliction, of avoiding Dharma practice, then one has to really question what benefit is that body to you. You know, you're really only digging a big hole for yourself with that body. So here it's saying to really recognize the value of the body. The value of the body is to take the essence of this opportunity of a precious human rebirth. That means to dedicate it towards spiritual practice. Otherwise, it isn't really any benefit.
Right, when Junju Nadwal, because Lula, Tui Loshania sing the Sudo, Ludi, and it corner, Taba the Tamjik salad joy again, Tunashi Loshajan and Bishop Sudo.
So as it says in this text itself, that the body is like a vessel, a boat to carry us from cyclic existence into the state of liberation and the omniscient state of life. It is a tool for us to be able to use towards enlightenment.
That Lula Chaksuna, and the koala corner, Tabata Tamjik salad joy, too much at koala Chamik to Chadu.
And so if our relationship to our body is defined by attachment, then yes, that body is still a boat, but only a boat that is in no way directed towards liberation and the omniscient state of enlightenment, but a boat that will be going around in circles in cyclic existence constantly.
And the Jeba, Tanda Moy was a me, Luden Lemba. They can Sanjay get them and a puzzle about the Jawati and Gobamutu with Chadu.
So if that's the case, that this the great prize of attaining this precious body, and that the excellence of potential that is there is rendered meaningless because of the way that you your attitude towards it.
What did it? I thought the thing she would child Nim Namshina and the way you can nature Maton, and she would child and Namshina and a Luda and a Semni cut their do it. Did ever got a Gangashan the meter? Chakbe on the Lutu Marwa, Lumoto to Gangashan with what? Was a single March at it, where you can nature machine bacha, where you can also match it and the same get Tadu on to until Lumatua Chena and the Gangan Tabach chair with what? Where you can nature author, Joy Dula Lever, Kaya Bar Social Yuba Kala, Beju Yabutai, Cheddar Tumbaja, that give a Mexican Jogua.
And so, of course, then the implicit disaster that is attachment is also apparent, that throughout our lives, we don't fulfill what we are wanting to fulfill. And then at some time, you will have to die. There will be this parting of mind and body. And because the very nature of attachment is to cling on, not to let go. Of course, that particular time is going to be extremely one of great suffering for one. And so this kind of is going to, living a life through attachment to the body like this is only investing in great problems later down the line. And that if we are seeing the actuality of the situation, that we only have this particular boat of the body for a very short time, and there will be some separation, death is inevitable, etc. Then we can say, okay, I need to do the best here. I need to take the essence and to make sure I'm focused on the best possible way of using this body. Now, then, we engage in spiritual practice. We've avoided mental affliction. We've done the best we can. And then at the time of death, the separation from the mind is not going to be so horrendous because we know we have done our best.
What did it say? Rather, Gaji, so me, Luden, the Tabata Tamjik came out doing some such a coin at Tabata Tamjik came a salad doing something, and do the Tabuya with Jagua. Do the Tabuya with Jagger and do the Nivachimo Sogre, and to sing that there's a Targo talk when there's okay, and to sing the Targo talk to ye, Joko talk to ye, and Nivayago Yoege, and it Casota, Tunjaka Tawachigua. That is why Ludi because of the Tratangama, Ludi Petu Yakatangua. The moon that I do the merchant, I want to do more matter and a China dead. And they get that guy, Lulu Taboyal can't think your money. Taboyala Martimbala and Yomo to Geneta, Mutun can attend you take it.
So this precious human boat of a rebirth is for us to be able to make this journey towards liberation and the omniscient state of enlightenment. And that means that we must look after it, of course. It's just like any, mundane boat. If we're kind of like have a boat and we're about to embark on a long journey, we're going to make sure that that boat is well fitted out, that it is well checked out, that we have adequate provisions, etc. All of what is necessary for a long journey. And the same for us, that we care for the body in this way, that because we are focused on that journey towards liberation and the omniscient state of enlightenment and the accumulation of the virtue that allows us to progress along that journey. If it's not that case, if it's the opposite, then we are not just destroying a great potential there, but we're really making lots of problems for ourselves along the way. And so again, to really distinguish here, between this talk of really avoiding any attachment to the body and the evaluation of the body itself. These are two different entities, that here we really have to concentrate on what's called taking the essence of this life. And if we are completely immersed in that and focused on that, then the body itself becomes something rather precious, very, very precious, because we can put it to use towards that event, towards that kind of fulfilling that goal. And so this means really being able to abide in actuality by seeing things the way they really are. So if we are really focused on taking the essence of this life, we're living in a harmony with the Dharma, and we are employing our body to this extent, then we are not misusing the body, we're not abusing the body. And so we have kind of really understood the true value of the body in this regard. And that means that we are not allowing the body to engage in any behaviors under the influence of mental afflictions. And so in this way, we are kind of the controller over the body, but we are controlling in the sense of making sure that the body is proceeding in harmony with Dharma.
and dewa dungele dewa tsin ro ta ga ja mi ta ba ta ba tsin den de ong ge ta khwan ta tu yo mar la dile xian jia jiang ta tu go mar ta de sa wo yu ge ne zui xin be tuan ne ani be ju dang xin mo yo che do ta su gu yo ma
And so the next outline is discussing the subheading of the uncleanliness of the body. And so again, this has to be taken in the context of being unclean. Why? Because we have in sort of the reality of not having attained liberation from cyclic existence, and then we're under several misapprehensions. That is, one, we apprehend that which is unclean as clean. We apprehend that which is impermanent as permanent. We apprehend that which is suffering as happiness, and we actually apprehend that which is selfless as having self. So these are kind of what we're counteracting because of the misapprehensions that are prevalent within cyclic existence.
或者他你把绿米上我讲把你是早晚脸，新说张望送米节，米上错节出过的，如果送的继续容生。
And so at that point of meditating on the uncleanness of the body is dealt with in verse number 61, which states, "Why, confused mind, do you not hold on to a clean wooden floor? Just what is the point of guarding this putrid, dirt-filled machine?"
그게 검자 제도. 아유 저번에 야. 남주 딩게다 통화지 공부해 봐. 검지 자고 봐. 뒤에 샤자.
Ah, so he's forgotten to do the visualization of the setting up of the merit field and so on to the meditation, as we always have done with this teaching.
Now remember.
Now I just remember now.
다도 몸에서 이케 지치래 안타까다 신소 장마시라 나오냠도 미진바르사 미진바르 가서 진바르 미제바체 미상에 처에 추고지 당 말아서 르고다 숨거람 미상에 처 루아 당간제 지금 쪽바다 찜바 속에 미신 소리를 그렇다고 저는 얘네 지 장마지 세와네 아니 추주 가셔지는 마 쪽바 되는다 이건 여자 건강에 장마 되는 개민도 와 문에 저는 다 미신을 하래도 와 답변에 지금 체리배 전화도 마찬가지도 지 칼라가 니바 여바디가 돼 바치잖아 수고 니발 다 아니 패모도 봤던 거 쓰고 왔다 딱 간제 가이나면은 저 쪽바다 집어 속은 게 미신 소리 차대도 와 좋아 근데 인도 지 강바주 여바이네 지금 산주면은 지금도 아니야봐도 산주 고기도 와 그거는 저바된 거 여러 그 주사제 고기도 와 바드룸 다치 고기도 왔다 가서 거 수고나 상마지 동기 매반자 뒤좀 보여 봤다 가서 미사회 초제에서 출고서 투자자로서 들어왔다 미신자로다 출고서 류디니 루베 자와 인베서 디 송신 지시 자 송미르소 샤바오자.
So yes, so here it's saying here, discussing one of these misapprehensions, and the truth of this confused mind, as it says at the beginning of the verse, confused by grasping onto that which is selfless as the self, having a self, etc. It's saying, okay, your mind, and why isn't it that you just don't hold on to a clean piece of wood like this? Why isn't it that you don't kind of have an attachment to a clean piece of wood that is perfectly fine? But and say, what is the point of grasping onto this this kind of putrid, saying here, an unclean, foul-smelling machine? And so it's saying it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. And so what he's referring to here, of course, is the operations of the body, particularly our digestive system. That we put the food in here, and the essence of that food is taken out to help us to kind of maintain our strength and grow, and then the waste is passed out at the end. And so, this is what the scientists and nutritionists explain to us, that basically anything that comes out of the holes or the pores of the body is not really of any use to us. That's what's being excreted or expelled. Otherwise, why would we have toilets? We have toilets for a particular reason to get rid of the waste that our own bodies produce. And so this is what's being referred to here.
마도제도 소바 시기를 왔다 가자 거 소바 차되기도 와 그래 소바 차되기도 와 가서는 그 류코라 상마 멤버 따따가라 땡겨 열봐 땡겨 레다 이나야 이나 다른 거랑 저 조다는 些제번 대번 이나 다 류탁보자도 좀제시라 매되겠지 이나 다 되게 수반의 시대 뭐저 류된대질라 맞대마 이나 타바다 탐지 잡아 두고 요 말이야 근데 이 말이서 타바다 탐지 잡아 주변에 채도 다 류들 맞대랑 되네 그러와 단단 거저 상매 그 류주 매바 있어 삭제 그 류디되는 상매 그 류주에 되면도 주변에 되면도 상매 삭제 그 류디 매바 상매 그 류주 퇴 걸어요 말. 다 되면서 그바 개발적이 온기 코 닦고 잡고도 다 되면도 류라 차그네 류들라 차그네 안에 닦고 잡나 안에 그바 가야 매되게 그바 가야 매되겠지 가서 류코랑 게 내다가 돈에 다 펜도에 자원이네 매되겠지 얘네 다 미남주 그 돈에 아 류디 배주 야고 땅나 안에 땅 투에 유되겠지 유되겠지 다 뒤면바잖아 류코랑 게 뭐베 코네 때네 다 간제 뒤 돈에 때네 다 콜 창내 대바 이나 안에 라 다가자 무티는 코알 내면도 타투에 그바 타투에 라고 매되겠지 근데 이마에서 안에 저 가서다 가서 저 가서래 다 근데 류 조발라 장마 때문에 차대다 근데 제가 이나 아니 처음에 되겠어 다 이나 류 그바 심배 토네 배주 그 조바 이마 이나야 될라때나 타바다 탐제 잡아 죽두고 여바 인자 딱고 양고 잡이야 딜은 뇌지만 줘야지 아니 뒤개 가르 연구도 개 아니 류라 차근에 또 하는 연구 여자 아니 차바바에 저도 아니 미투바 거미에다 되게 용어되게 와
And so it's very clear, isn't it, the degree to which we have to care for this body one way or another, regardless of what our mental attitude is. That there's the cleaning of the teeth in the morning, and then there's the showering, there's this constant sort of, if you leave it for a while, you can just see how filthy the body can get very, very quickly. And even the food we eat, you know, if you have some food in your mouth and you spit it out, suddenly it's dirty food, it's unedible. So it's kind of like there's a very thin line between what is acceptable with regard to the body and what then is quickly regarded as unclean, etc. So this is something that we need to be very, very careful about how much emphasis we're putting on and how much that is mired in attachment to the body, having it a certain way. And so it's kind of very, very important here that we, it's appropriate to care for the body if our motivation is to use that body to attain liberation and the omniscient state of enlightenment. We have to understand that we're in cyclic existence, that the very aggregates that we have, the body being one, are regarded as contaminated aggregates. So it's like our body is not a natural, uncontaminated vessel. It's a contaminated vessel. That's why it needs care just to maintain a certain level of health of the body. And so it's kind of like if we have attachment to that process of wanting to, always maintain the body beautiful out of attachment, then that's really quite pointless. There's no value in that at all. And it's just a tremendous amount of wasted effort. But if we apply our intelligence to it and say, I need to care for the body in order to attain such great goals here of really benefiting so many others, then we can use that body well. And that means we need to care for that body well. We need to ensure that the body is hygienically clean, that we avoid any harmful actions with the body, etc. And that otherwise, if we are just kind of maintaining this level of attachment to the body of constantly wanting to clean ourselves, kind of like, then that's going to just guarantee permanent stay in cyclic existence, and there will be no liberation, and indeed that life will be quite pointless. So it's kind of like we have to make this distinction between the body and care in order to be able to use the potential of our body to attain liberation and enlightenment.
So Ludi and Chicasa the 장마제 차 가서 다 지금 모유내서 미상와대 상마대 안딜라 차근에 대바이나 아니 뒤 타바다 탐색해봐 타고 했던 것은 예만에 탑살 류그레스는 랑글을 차대기로 와 그러와 아니 토마메바 내가 먼저 차 랑글을 차내 내대래 아니 되게 타바다 탐색해봐 팽개도나 먼저 패차래 이래 뒤 팽개메바 인자 단다보던 것을 하도 봐 류 가서데 미상와대 가서 류 미상와대 상와를 마다 미상와대 워터네 아니 류 배주 양다바 단계 되게 타바다 탐색해봐 살치도 좋아 단단 거 저게 잡수 조작에 아니 기분 담아서 쳐주 자와 세다 제가 되게 돼 아니 다 지가서래 가서데 동에 가서데 딱까지 동에다 대화니도 워터네 아니 동에 이방 워터 미상와대 이방 워터네 미상 워터 아니 다 매바다 다 매바 이방 워터 동에 이방 워터도 타바다 탐지kim에 살 람라 페로 마찬네 람달 페로도 다 뭐저 단다보다 데레스 하와 이마 있어 더더 데레스 단데 대바니 모든을 하게 됐어 뭐여와 데데 전 대바이나 다 소소게 다가서데 닝고데 렌도모도 와 그래서 다 데데 이마 에네 루이도 숨고에 좀 세면도 숨에 그바데 타바다 탐지kim에 두레쳐 데레 데 숨도 아니 루라 마찬가 또나 루기 닝고 렌도 같이 그랬어 데데 잡아다 다다 상체가 루데 아니 상매가 루 투투에 차기로 와 좋아
And so then to kind of again have this attitude of attachment to the body, and kind of all of the attention you pay to the body is born out of that sense of attachment. That if that was the case, it's very clear that we're in a reality where we've had countless rebirths since beginning of time. So we've obviously had many bodies, before. And if that was the attitude, if that's the attitude we champion now, that's the attitude we've had in the past of, going through that particular life with a great attachment to the body. And if that resulted in great benefit, then of course that would be the attitude to take. But the fact of the matter is, we're still, after all those rebirths, still stuck in cyclic existence and with little progress towards liberation and the emission state of enlightenment. So there must be something wrong with that sense of attachment to the body. And we have to kind of really, look at a different attitude. First of all, we have, of course, the very notion, the very kind of reality of that body is that it is unclean, naturally so. And so we have to be able to see that straight, not see something which is unclean as clean as one of those first misapprehensions. And so we have to make sure, clean it, but always kind of like have that attitude that I'm doing what I'm doing with the body in order to put it to work towards liberation and the emission state of enlightenment. The same goes like for being able to see, suffering as suffering, and not be kind of thinking that what is suffering is actually happiness. And again, like what is permanent what is impermanent, seeing it as permanent, and so on. All of these misapprehensions can be applied to the attitude towards the body as well. That these changes in the body and so on. This is all impermanent. And so that we also kind of understand that there is no kind of, if we fail to take the essence of this opportunity of life, then what really is the point of this so massive protection that we put around the body and this massive cleaning and caring for the body? We need to understand that, yes, it is proper to care for this body when we are putting it to its true use, that is to really work towards liberation and the state of enlightenment. And if you want to keep it in the context of the body, we are moving from a contaminated physical aggregate of body towards an uncontaminated physical body. So this is the way we need to focus towards engaging in virtue in order to use the body in that way.
당간자 말아줘 다다 녹다 강가 몸바 말이 배 쳐도다 이 가래서는 뭐 이거 내좀 마시 맞지 뭐 이거 내좀 마시 봐 인자 아니 거 이거 내좀 마시 배 토네 아니 디토를 줘도 아니 뭐 이거 내좀 투배 되고 아니 대화 되고 대화 맞죠 밑에 동아에 아니 못으로 용대 차디고 Then the image of Sanjay Chus on the Shitambani, Lam Tapsini, Jebukuni sin. Rua, Shitambani, Lam Tapsini, and a Jebutla Kunis. So good the Chukus knew what did the Chan Tabaja. That the mother of the Shitambani nature the Mashiba Yinsa, did the Tubato Maduanza, and Lam Tapsini the Yamsalam to the man. Lam Tapsini the Yamsalam Mado, the Jebukuni to Tabuyo Mata. Never the chatted one.
So all the trouble that we ever experienced is due to the fact of our abiding in this ignorance of really not knowing the true nature of reality, and that it's very, very this not knowing reality is constantly kind of giving us the wrong kind of focus, wrong emphasis in life there, and that we move towards the very opposite of what we should be doing. Of we even though we are aware enough to know that we want happiness and we don't want suffering, we seem to almost deliberately avoid happiness and run towards suffering, and because of this overall kind of over abiding sense of ignorance with regard to the true nature of reality. And so we need to be able to fix that, to kind of really have our focus on developing the also the capture ni picture check
No, the page that did
the
because of the Shitambani check. Shila Tambani Yovanza, Lamla Tapsini Negra, Lamla Tapsini Yonde, and the Tributilla, Lam Tapsini Yamsla Tributilla, and a Kuni Yogurwa. Reso, the Reso, Marinati.
So then it's like saying that the basis are the two truths, and then the result, the objective is to attain the two bodies of the Buddha.
But the Shila Tapsini check, Lam Tapsi, but Shila Casa Debani check, and a Lamla. Debani Imba Yinza, and a Lamla Tap the Sherabi Yong Tiltua. Lamla Tap the Sherabi the Jebula, and the Casa the Kuni Yong Tiltua.
So yes, the two truths as the basis, the path itself, therefore becoming the path of method and the path of wisdom, and the result then becoming the two bodies of the Buddha.
That lamp because she debani is and Konchok the mother to not the Barwa. That Dondam the mother Ali Pasha. Konchok the Netan dear, Yago Mashima, that the Konchok Netarwa. Ruapena Mizanwala Tangwa says the Konchok Netarwa. Konchok Netan dear, Shigiyomar, Muila, Mizanwali day in the Sangwats in the Yorba. Rua. That this Majona and Muyu nature because of the Kasota Kaja could don't have a Debameva teacher and shake hard. That didn't need to put up when Yams Lands are whatever and she didn't let Tene and Lam Tapsini on the Lam Tapsini let Tene and put up when Yams and Jebukuni Yom to ya. That didn't go because of the Sanjay Suarez Mare, where you can get data to a drop Yota. Rata when a digit to be enough, digit to a good dentist stroke.
And so the two truths, of course, mentioned here are the conventional truth and ultimate truth. And in fact, what's under discussion in these verses is still just referring to conventional truth, the uncleanness of the body, etc. It's just what we are understanding according to the conventional approach. But of course, we need to also supplement that by that which is more difficult to grasp, more difficult to understand, is the ultimate truth, the true nature of reality. But it is that both of these truths through which we should proceed, and then we engage in the path, and on the basis of those two truths, and through the path of a method, the path of wisdom, ultimately then attaining the two bodies of the Buddha. But what is the kind of overarching emphasis of all the Buddhist teachings is that we, in practicing we kind of engage in all of our decisions by ensuring that they are made according to reality. And so this is what the two truths give us. They give us this insight into what the true nature of reality is, what the reality is of how we should make our decisions and make progress.
아니 류디 손에 가져다 류디 지가서다 좀세 매바데 차배 온거 송 제반 다들 좀세 지하면도 지지 숨어져 다 롱고에 좀세부터 송고에 좀세 위다고 거 봐. 왜 내서 미상화래다 이네 거 딱고 양보 좀세 가서 이 류디라 때는 아니 타바다 탐제 좀 쭉쭉쭉이지. 그봐. 그 류디라 때는 뭐 요게 내주 신네. 람타 시대반이 셰도 받지. 아들라 람탑진이 냠서 람토바제 대북군이 더버잖아 아니 류드 송에 편도 좋아 뒤면에 류라 차네 대바이나 가야 편도 용문도 와 다티 수고요 다 된다 되대.
So really all of these verses are making a very similar point, and they're also, making a very similar demarcation between the one side where you have attachment towards the body. So that's the way you are kind of living your life, attached to the physical form. And so we're saying that that is really pointless. It is really counterproductive completely. And that's, on the other hand, if you are viewing the body correctly, it's a tremendous advantage. It's a wonderful basis on which one can thereafter engage in training in the two truths, launching oneself onto the path of method and wisdom, and ultimately attaining the two bodies of the Buddha. So it's the body is a great, has this great potential, this great basis for us if we view it correctly. But it is complete waste of time if we are just engaged in a relationship with our body which is based on attachment.
다 숨바 류라 닝보 매바 다 류라 닝보 매바 삼발라 니체다 다 닝보 매바 삼발 다면 지가 14돌 바다나 닝보 삼발라 니체나 그래 당가로 류라 칭신 칭보 요와자 다디 개침부터는 숨고요 왔다 숨바 류라 닝보 매바 삼발라 니체나 류라 차바다 류라 아사 류라 다 류들라 차다 차정 야와천 류라 차다 차체네서 봐 차를 봐 야와체네 당은 그래서 이대로 오다 디지 편도 도서 제 된도 닝보 중세장 매봐 닝보 매봐라 차바 미리고 근데 닝보 매겐들라 아니 뭐 다들 지금 차간에 편도 매겠지 미리고 오서 그래서 닝보 매봐라 차바 미리고 오서는 삽제니체 다 당고들라 르라 차다 차체네서 다나 이대 미리고 닝보 중세장 매봐들라 자war래 토마르 파베르 짐바티서 라질로예 타데체 아니 가서 시야 루베 자war래 셰랍 손제에서 구두체 가서 구두체 루반 남자 예체네 간제 봐도 따와자 내가 니고 지시죠 다니 끼네 따버리기서.
And so then the next of these outlines, this is the third of those subheadings that we mentioned earlier, that a reflection on the essencelessness of the body. This has two subheadings itself. The first of these is that if we engage in the kind of analytical process of looking within the body, taking kind of like ripping off layers of the body and looking inside with a stable attitude, stable mind, we will see that there's absolutely no essence whatsoever. And then the second of these is that there being no essence, it is absolutely inappropriate to have attachment. And so these are verses number 62 and 63. And they go as follows. First of all, mentally separate the layers of skin from the flesh. And then with the scalpel of discrimination, separate the flesh from the skeletal frame. And having split open even the bones, look right down into the marrow. While examining this, ask yourself, where is its essence?
다 도마 바벨 바데 란지 로이 파 여와체네 파 여와체는 르게 차셰라 타데 체나 니부지야 요마레스 안 데데 샤디야 다바 여와체도 샤야 루베 자와레스 다 티기나로가다 로아치 발라소도 기발라소도 바달 파 여와체도 셰라고 중기다 남주고 배주단에 셰라고 배주단에 디 셰라고 토네 다 제바제바이나 디 셰라디 청고 토네 청고 구도 체데 여와체네 로즈 쳐봐이나 로즈 전에 바닥지 잡아이나 아니 루반 남자 자신 소소 예와 제바이나 간지 봐도 다 나로 루베 마찬 내다로 간게 봐도 딱지 잡아이나 바다와 제시 류들 니고 왔다 된대 지금 니고 도다스 지야 가서 지여제 다니게서 다 소소랑게 미라고 좀 맞아 소소랑게 싫어하고 제바체나 싫어하게 딱 기다 근데 딱지 제고래서 제바이나 님부 주세 점이 동안 다 될라 참고 얘기 님부 가요 말았어. 주세 점에 셔와 보자.
And so here then is saying at the beginning, one kind of like starts to peel back the skin, and this is all kind of a mental analysis and mental kind of imagination. And then you kind of like look into different parts of the body below that and separate them out. Still haven't found any essence. And then you part the flesh, the skeletal frame, and then again, this is all with the discriminating mind of wisdom. And so you're analyzing this, and still you're again getting deeper in, dividing out different parts of the body. You still don't see any essence to the body, even when you get down to the level of the marrow within the bones. You have to ask yourself, is there any essence here? And that you can say, with that analysis of wisdom, you have to conclude that there is no essence at all visible in the mind. And as such, then it's absolutely inappropriate to have attachment to it.
니바데 니고 메바 데데 니고 메겐지나 딜라다 차고에 좀 세면 와서 차와 미리고는 자왈레 데이터 베데 제장들 켜지 니고 마도나 단도 지지 차수에 최네 르데 송와체스.
So again, that point of then it being essenceless, then it is inappropriate to have attachment. Verse number 64. If even when searching with such efforts you can apprehend no essence, then why, with so much attachment, are you still guarding the body now?
다들 대답해도 다 되는 시 배바체는 배준체는 다 님부저 제장 류데 이켜지 님부 사마토나 다 이켜게 다 님부 델레스토스 또 뭐쳐봐서 맞잖아 단도 안 차대의 규칙이 좀세 가르쳐도 하는 창신 신배 수제 이켜는 류데 송화차대서 같은 송화차 다 된데 그 지금 창의 송다 송화의 좀세면도 송미를 소셔보자.
So this verse is saying then, so we've done the analysis here, looking for the essence, that is body. And when we look into it, we do not see any essence. And still, even though we've done that analysis, you still have this attachment. Why do you have this attachment? You know, that this kind of a craving attachment is something that is completely inappropriate. And so this is something that you must conclude for your own self.
다 대긴 주반에 시전 다다 사제가 류디 아니 상매가 류를 주에게 다 배주 가능성 거도 로 앞에는 알아서 디기 알아서 거야 돼 이내 단다 디기도 사제가 디기로 다 사제가 디기때 상매가 디기를 그 교토야 상매가 디기때 로다가 타바다 탐제 캠베가 다가 가서 디기를 받아 교토야 와다 되게 가서 저기 가서 파트 가서 저기 뭐이게 내수 아니 뿌다다 배주 또 봐도 어다든 좀 제도가 다디 Tila tene ta mutu no tunga yonga chago na tele jumze meba chaba.
So again, it's really emphasizing the same point. If we're engaging in life based on attachment to the body, and then we're only creating causes to remain constantly within cyclic existence, and there's no benefit at all to that attitude. We must begin to cultivate a keener vision of actuality, of what really is the reality of this situation, and ask ourselves, how can we use this body to enhance our spiritual practice, to engage in Dharma practice? We have the attitude of the contaminated body that we are born with now. How would it be to be able to have an uncontaminated body? How would that be to be able to use that for a spiritual practice? In the same way that we experience happiness now, but of course it's contaminated happiness in cyclic existence because it always ends up as suffering. So we have to aim for the experience of uncontaminated happiness, and that to create the causes for doing this, and those causes are based on being able to see reality for what it really is, the actuality of our situation, and for constantly refining this view of reality.
다 시바 룰라 차바 미리베 좀전에 다 룰라 차바 미리베 좀전에 자와래 쾌기 미산 사미로 차자 동도 미로라 주도에 십도 미로나 룰이 켜라 지시자 년나 와다 자고 이제 세계도 대송리.
So the fourth of those five subheadings is that now we're looking at the inappropriateness of the attachment to the body and the reasoning behind why it's inappropriate. And so 65 and the first half of 66 look at this point. What use is this body to you if its dirty insides are unfit for you to eat, if its blood is not fit to drink, and if its intestines are not fit to be sucked? At second best, it is only fit to be guarded in order to feed the vultures and jackals.
다 이게 설와다 이 쾌기 다 소소 삼루고 창에 대해서 이 쾌기 다봐 알아서 가서 파티 가서를 봐 계제시바는 시간에 다이 쾌기 룰라 유베스 미상와 살미로 아니 차장 동도로 말 왔을 다 루고 차제 숙자데 추리 있어 자제 두주 담바데 추르스 그 여러다 세디 당지 정데 와다 추리 있어 와다 차라 소바 나라 소바데 다 동도 미로시 미로라 대신도 주도한다 주마다 도와라 소바다 가제 나로 로아데 치발라서 십도 미로나다 미로나 리기에서 이켜라 지시 자대 다 가르편 그 도스던 차대 삼로들라다 이켜라 가르편도 지시 자대 가야 미펴서서 내나 그러다가제 저는 좀제 현실의 다와이나다 와다 자국의 세계도도 루트 송화리서 셔보다 어찌됐지만 좀 재미도 왔다 그래다 와다 자국이나다 그나 멜라타에치도 루스교직이나다 로라타에치도 순교직이나다 세대신의 사회 직래对吧로아펜도 들가서 멜라타를 요래 아니 가서래 그 로라타에 용도와 집에는 싸워라 배치도 순교직에서 싸우러다 어디래시면도 좀 개개민도 왔어 좀 재미도 왔다. 좀 재미도 왔어. 왔다 근데 인바인상 왔다 같이 지 창내 순교체에다 창내다 순교체에다 좀 버렸습니다. 그리고 좀 재워들 시.
So here it's talking about then, okay, mind if if the body is so precious to you, why is it that you don't find it appropriate to eat the unclean body? Why is it that you kind of recoil from drinking the blood of the body or sucking on the intestines of the body? Why is it that you find there's no benefit in that? So I'm saying here, then in that case, if you kind of just mired in attachment to the body, that the only possible benefit it can be then is that you are just maintaining a kind of like a tasting kind of body for the inevitability of death, and then for the jackals and the vultures to eat. And so that's the only sense that we can make out of it, because otherwise there's no benefit at all in the way you're behaving.
我听着是吧？大家呢，甚至这个啥也记得，对面吧，就是本来我说大家买了这个，第一天都旅顺就接着，是吧？老了在一起都顺就接着，上完了白起都顺就接，所以吃这个多大，吃那让点吧一呢，留给你不连嘛都吧一呢，是吧？我听着，
So likewise, if it's only to be burned or to be buried or to that we're only really protecting it for that sake. For that sake, then there's no benefit in that either.
Penal service.
So yeah, looking after your body to kind of for the funeral service. Yes.
你说了差这个多，我大感觉这个，但感觉我有年岁的过，我有个年岁同呢，旅的白酒当时不喝，但我在厂里待的白酒没都送有了，他们说像旅去当可是高马的送有嘛，他的对嘛，我觉得该什么的多，我觉得。
It's kind of again making sure that we don't mistake the point here, that the actuality is that we are aware of how we should properly use the body to maintain a harmony with Dharma practice, Dharma thought, Dharma action, and that if it's not that, then we are kind of mired in this attachment to the body, which is just pointless attitude, and you might as well be just protecting it in order for to have a really good funeral service.
말했다 드린 게 들리 샤는 저 다 normal 저 초조래 아니 그런 게 아마 담배 차죠 뭐저 배 롱팝 중 이제 이제 다 지금 믹서 뭐저 강가 좋아하는 지금 소액에 마셔라 되게 많이 참고 같이 장는 제도 어떻게 세는 양 알아서 초조다 안 알아서 강가야 지금 뭐람 잡 지금 제발이나 아니 지금 저랑 아마래 다가 내신 게 알아서 나로래다 수입반에 소소 파마 동아 연구열에 비자 동아열에 조고 동아열 다 뒤서 안다는 코로나 바이러스 그 미국 수시 동아열에 팀을 잡으려 지원은 일이 멤버 동아열 안다나 지금 가서 단다 가서 단다데 유크레인다 단다데 가서 러시아냐 맞잖아 다 러시아가 망고 동 유크레인가 망고 동고요 다 같이 수입에 심지어 수입반이네 근데 차례 때 건강을 미는 거죠 좀 많이 참고 지금 이제 사토나 what is again.
So again, I was saying we'd maybe leave it there today, just stopping a little bit early, in reference to the fact that my mum has passed away recently, and so that we're all gathered here together. It's an opportunity for us to engage in a little recitation of Om Mani Padme Hum mantras together, and of course we keep in mind all those who have passed away. We have our own relatives and dear friends who have passed away as well, to keep them in mind, and all the sentient beings around the world who have passed away, that there are many different, say for example, all those who passed away due to the conflict in Ukraine, for not just the Ukrainian victims, but also the Russian victims who have passed away, and so many people who've died as well, to keep them all in mind in our little practice here, to do some recitation.
我真的真的，这个当然主要这个告诉的下这个调话有吧？大概你是确实上升的调话有吧？大概你等那个调话，其他什么所以呢？我是调话觉得，要等那个调话有那判断拉不下，我那主要这个确个团的调话有跟的，等你恰的，我那就讲了，要到时判断用过的，我等你讲，这个我真的真的，我恐怕写，我真的写
，So to to be as inclusive as you possibly can, of course. That all of our relatives, all of our friends, those who we've had attachment towards, those who we've had aversion towards, that have passed away, to keep them all in mind without exception, and that the fact that we are all connected to the Dharma here is something that will certainly bring benefit to them.
我的是，那让个对的了，那将来是这个查西吧，就恐怕些查西吧，那查到讲到该开发有么多，我真的就。
And so please visualize the figure of Chenrezig, Avalok Ishvara, 4-armed or 1,000 armed if you feel like it, that you can visualize in the space in front. And so that it is in fact our own root guru in the aspect of Avalokiteshvara and the fact that they are really present. And Chenrezig is marked by the syllables Om at the crown, A at the throat, and Hong at the heart center.
And then because of the Tuga Hole, we said, Pado, Baba to the Singlajan, Ishiba, and Ishiba only the Jabatanda, Ishiba to get the Cheresig number gender, Martin Jenny, and only uncle, and Chivola Miguel, which was a Rabbi, which is
and that light rays emanate from the Hong at the heart center, going out in all directions to all the pure realms, inviting all the wisdom beings and empowering deities from those realms. The wisdom beings come and dissolve into the central figure, and the empowering deities confer the nectar of empowerment, some of which then overflows at the crown, producing or instantaneously the figure of Amitabha.
That Namdu Jeres on shooting around Jeres is Konchok. The computer that Chadon College, General College, Suma Jeres, Chaselo, around the round tower, Simja Tamja Yoga, Chaselo, Sundachen, and the Chasing Nadikaba to Zech. Namanika called Simpson Shashua.
And so for those who have taken the empowerment of Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara, you can now visualize yourself as the figure of Chenrezig. And that when you and for those who haven't, of course, can still visualize the figure of Chenrezig in the space in front, that's fine. And then we go through this introduction of, this paying homage. I pay homage. And so you, at that point, center on the self or the I that is paying homage. Where is this self? Where is this I? To kind of really reach that point of emptiness. And so this is the from the path of the Chogu, the wisdom body of the Buddha.
Dharmakaya,
Dharmakaya.
What some that Chogu Samata, and then and because of the and then Tombani, Combe Loti, and Workable Chokan to some such.
And so then this from this emptiness arises the light, white light.
That size.
Oh, so it's in the same size as Ken is pointing out there, a beam of white light.
Yeah, it looks 1 feet or something.
Yeah, it looks.
Or that and because of the Batu Longo in some such Batu, the Tamil Batu much Longo cushion for some such.
So this represents the intermediate state and the body of the enjoyment body of the Buddha.
The transformation, what is it? Or that the and then and the Geshe around Jeresi and Kurshan, but Chadon Chandana and because of the Tapena Chashiba, there's a Kurshan so some such.
So then we arise and kind of create that body of the Buddha of Chenrezig, the 4-armed version.
Yeah, what the Kurshan, Kurshan, what that Jeres one of Jososati, and Takasa Kawa Tugu Sweet. Kawa de Tameva Kawa Matu Tugula.
And this is representative of the emanation body of the Buddha.
What did what Jososas, what is it? And then around some times I wanted to do something with us.
And of course, we visualize, of course, that we are surrounded by all mother sentient beings.
And we're in the
place that we're in is like the palatial abode of Chenrezig.
And then Jeres in the Chiu on Jamba Tuga was around Jeres Kurshan, but Chiu on Jamba Tuga who is Samata, Tuga Hole was a part of Shinram Jan Neve, and Yeshiva on the Java Gentan, and Yeshiva Jeres number Gentan, only Ongo Babi, which have socially sometimes. So Jeres.
And then seeing ourselves as the figure of Chenrezig ourselves, we send out again from our own, remarked again by the same, by Om and Hong, and we send out countless rays of light from the heart center, inviting again all the wisdom beings and empowering deities, and the wisdom beings kind of like dissolve into ourselves in the form of Avalokiteshvara, and the empowering deities confer the nectar of empowerment, which overflows to produce the figure of Amitabha on our crown.
what the 가서 대 장주가 샘주 거쇼 샘제 탐제도 산제 고만 유한점 하다 지금 토마 찌리 샘주 거쇼.
And then we bring to mind the mind of enlightenment, and we really make a very powerful pledge to really attain the state of enlightenment as quickly as we possibly can to benefit all sentient beings.
샘제 탐제들의 공부요 삼사적으로 하셔 샘제 탐제.
And bring all sentient beings.
그것들의 공부요 삼. 뭐 된데게 샘디 랑기니가 그도 다외긴고 랑제레스 개와디 다외긴고 닌가 그도 다외긴고 약하고 주소 삼사차.
So that very, very mind of that kind of powerful communal mind to attain the state of enlightenment is represented at the heart center of your own heart center now in the lotus sun and moon disk mandala at the heart center.
다외긴고 moon disk what is called.
And then the moon disk, sorry, moon disk at the heart.
what the legend 다 친한 게 최근에 지바이나 다가는 이제 학도도 라 제레스게 남네 제레스 심지 탐제 제레스 고마 두고서 나한테 가봐도 제죠 제죠는 많이 받아가는 셈샤.
And so we again bring to mind the question of where is this self? Like we're looking at any inner or outer phenomena, looking at myself now as Chenrezig, where is this self? Where is this I? And that through that analysis, going to the point of merely not finding that answer to that question, that there is no kind of appearing I that appears at that point. We really place the mind on that mere not finding of itself.
된대게 각자 가삼 예배 로티니 다 다외긴 거 그래서 도지가고 쟁아바지 교수 상자제 아니 디 다외땡도 닌가게 다외땡도 인데스바 랑다고 내서 상자제.
And through that process of the mere negation of the object of negation and being able to sustain our focus on that arises a five-pronged white badger, which is now standing on the moon disk at our heart center.
아니 뒤 타고도 아니 제레스게 정말 오만이 빼면 스쿼트긴 공부하셔 이제.
This Vajra is now surrounded by circling mantra of Om Mani Padme Hum.
what the 아니 되나 다 먼저 자동 걸로 있는 거 수바제레스 찾아서 많이 당겨도 많이 당겨 아니 랑게 되는라 제레스 세타바 디 두발에 되게 라마제레스 디 두발에 왔다 다와 도지체 오만이 배마 유했던 거 어떨 거 봐서 아니 오만이 배마 장어도 아니 랑게 되네 제레스 그 두갈에 유배 다와 도지다 아니 오만이 배마 가서다 저 인크리스천 망부 multiply chen and be we say part of rangi dao doji da and o mani be ma til ba tim samsa che ma ge sem je tamje gylo tina shi yos and o mani be ma tes ko ba shi shwa. Yeah.
And so as we begin the recitation of the mantra and reciting of Om Mani Padme Hum, we see that the figure of Chenrezig that we're visualizing in front is also marked at the heart center by the moon disk and the five-pronged white badger surrounded by Om Mani Padme Hum. And as we recite, this really increases in activity, the figure in front of ours, and this kind of a countless versions of Om Mani Padme Hum starts to stream out from the heart center of Chenrezig there, and they start to dissolve into the heart center, our heart center, into the Vajra moon disk there, as well as all sentient beings all around us.
자동으로 요에 겨워도 전동 겨워서 산자도 발라반도 들어대는 거 좀봐 제레스라 차세로 오마니 에베메 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 Omani bema 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 omani Omani bema 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 omani Omani bema 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 omani Omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani Omani bema 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 omani Omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani Omani bema 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 omani Omani bema 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 omani Omani bema 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 omani Omani bema 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 omani Omani bema 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 omani Omani bema 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 omani Omani bema 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 omani Omani bema 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 omani Omani bema 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 omani Omani bema 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 omani Omani bema 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 omani Omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani omani bema omani bema omani Omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani
Omani bema
omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema
Omani
omani
bema
Omani bema omani bema omani bema
Omani
omani
bema
bema
Omani
omani
bema
Omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani bema omani Omani bema 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 Om mani bama 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 om mani om mani bama 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 om mani Om mani bama 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 om Om mani bama 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 om mani Om mani bama om mani bama om mani bama om mani Om mani bama 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 om mani Om mani bama 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 O mani bamo 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 o mani bamo 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 mani o mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo O mani bamo 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 mani O mani bamo 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 O mani bamo 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 O mani bamo 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 mani O mani bamo 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 mani O mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo mani O mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo mani O mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo O mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo O mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo mani bamo O mani bamo 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 mani O mani bamo 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 mani O mani bamo 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 O mani bamo 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 mani O mani bamo 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 O mani bemo 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 O mani bemo mani bemo mani bemo mani bemo mani bemo mani O mani bemo, 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 o mani bemo, 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 mani o mani bemo, 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 o mani bemo, 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 mani O mani bemo, 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 o mani bemo, 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 mani o mani bemo, mani bemo, bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani o mani bemo, 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 O mani bemo, 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 mani O mani bemo, 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 mani O mani bemo, 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 O mani bemo, 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 mani O mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani O mani bemo, 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 mani O mani bemo, 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 mani O mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani O mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, mani O mani bemo, mani bemo, mani bemo, o mani bemo. What did you do? It's a good body show. What is that? That did because of the Nianju Kumbashida. Or comes on to our to Yavanata to make a ranchel metabari and telling you what you're Nianju Kumbashi. And then they Nianju Lotti, Rangi Chivola, Pamata Piachuso, some such.
And so that we visualize, of course, on the subject of renunciation, looking at that all sentient beings, you know.
But I'm so quite Kabakeva in that to Miller and single Matebaris. Kabakeva in that because to me to my good Taba to Jiggle to Mel and Matebaris. Sir, that Taba to Jiggle to Mel Tawa Mother, when I do to get any time you am and telling you what you're in Yanjun, never join Yanjun, Kubashi, and then they load the Rangi Chivola, Pamata gets you so some such.
And so then we visualize, we think about renunciation in terms of the fact that all sentient beings, wherever they are reborn in a cyclic existence, they never get beyond the nature of suffering, from the three categories of suffering, change, that they are kind of mired in the third of pervasive suffering constantly, where there is no possibility of a fully qualified happiness out of that. And from that, understanding and the desire to gain release from that reality arises the lotus mandala state of representing renunciation.
What is compassion? And it's Simja Tamjaka, that is a combat to be social chashaway, and you then to what the Takacha. Do you say Yoma Chinaga call train and because of the quality train at that Kadeshima, you then to what the Dusa Yoma is a touch of compassion. And then they gave a lot in it, and then they because of the Pamatama give it and you make you one yak or so some compassion.
And so then again, concentrating on the figure of Chen raising in front, this is all happening at the heart center there. And so saying that, whether on the crown, on the crown. And so on our own crown, so we're visualizing then Chen raising a portion. So that visualizing that Chen raising is having absolutely no inherent existence whatsoever. that all phenomena, in fact, whether within cyclic existence or beyond cyclic existence, have not one iota of objective or inherent existence. And from that understanding of that selflessness, again, just reaching that point of finding no objective existence, arises the sun and mandala disk.
Then simja tamje to sanja kuma nyuwa ni to matam to toba chigi se logic and then the lo de tawe jingo nyak wa chita because nime jingo de what de kuma she.
And then on our crown, then again from visualizing the need to quickly attain the state of enlightenment to benefit all sentient beings, the moon disk mandala seat of bodhicitta, or the mind of enlightenment, is also placed there along with the others on the crown.
Then pandits have a lama remote target to open the Kadishu Kuzu to Buddha Sato, so left Rangi, and that because of Dungan Nankala, Lama Cheres come there, what the and so the Chavala, and then Lama Cheres city, and so the Tambicas of Pet, so the Niveka show, so the Subeka tension, Sunday and Kumamato, but the Chess Sun Kao.
Oh, glorious and precious root Guru, come take your lotus and moon seed placed here on my crown. Keep me safe in your kindness. Bestow on me the attainments of body, speech, and mind. Thus we make the invocation verse for the figure of Chenrezig to make the journey from the space in front to our crown. And at the first recitation, the figure begins that journey. The second arrives at the pre-prepared seat. And at the end of the third, they remain, we have the certainty that they will remain steadfast there until we ourselves attain enlightenment, and we rejoice in that. And of course, that having that sort of guarantee that the Buddha will remain with us until we attain the state of enlightenment is something fantastic. We rejoice in that. We automatically and spontaneously make the offerings of the 7 limbs and the mandala practice.
What? And then again, Yanjong Combasia, Yanjong Combasia, and then they Yanjong never to a law, never lotty, and running the Pamata Joso, some such. And it's a Chinang church condition you didn't about do some your money, so Kodacho was some time. What did they some down do 10 days never lotty, running that Ninga Pamata Joati and the Nimation with Yakan was Joso, then some jet to Sunday when you don't matter, Tomato Toba Chigi, some such logic. Logic on the and then they because of the lot and the direction when Yakan to so
So then again, we start to prepare the suitable seat on our own heart, as our own heart center for Chenrezig. And here again, we enter into contemplation on renunciation to gain that sense of definite emergence from cyclic existence, symbolized by the arising of the lotus mandala seat at our heart center, and then the notion of ourselves and the having any kind of no how to say not even an iota of inherent existence, or lacking any kind of inherent existence, and just arriving at that point of the mere absence of any true existence, producing the sun disk mandala seat. And that from that very reality, then the necessity of, and the kind of like saying that the notion that we must attain the state of enlightenment, therefore, to benefit all sentient beings, that produces the moon disk mandala seat.
Until the Pandesa, Lama Remusha, Ninga, the condition of Kusu to Mudu Sato, still Sunday, Sunday, Tambeka, Ranichiwanema, Chiwa Lama Cherese. The Enchibona Vigarash and Naval March, Niveka Sumaka Tension, what are Sunday Komamato, what the chair son Kauko.
And then we again make the invocation verse thrice. So glorious and precious Guru, come take your lotus and moon seat placed here at my heart. Keep me safe in your kindness, bestow on me the attainments of body, speech, and mind. Again, at the end of the first recitation, and the figure moves down through our crown chakra, down through the central channel. And then at the end of the second, they have arrived at our pre-prepared seat at the heart. And again, at the end of the third, we have the certainty that they will remain until we ourselves attain enlightenment.
다 그저 이제 카마스는 남비닝 내자는 시 안디가 될 도시 가고 생각 세워서 가게 아니 뒤 타고도 아니 저 가서 가서도 제레스가 송아 아니 가서도 오마니 빼면 오마니 사수 거데 전에 뒤 가서도 가서 지주 잠배양 그 송아 아니 가서도 오마라바자 나티티티 오마라바자 나티티티 때네 텐데 나 오마 예다마 해도 다다 마 샤마나 예소 때리 이거 숨 거도 어디지 kumbashene ani dendege lama cheresige ani kusong tole wese pato meba chone wata kanje lama cheresige ani kasoda jiga kaso ani jiga kasoda da jiga kasoda da jiga tsara toma kata kasoda keba mangor ani jiga kasoda janju senda toni tobe shera da nyenjung kombege ani dendege kasoda da tuji jinla wese pato meba chone ani randa wes chone range chibo kanti ka bala wes chone ani range toma면서 디버치다 ani 하던도 소치바 마지막에 미상을죠 주요 참아 지종 같이 나선에서 로다라 소마 딱 간제 세딜라 사바 생가마 디행가마 토마메바는 사베 아니 지금 제배 하나마도 라신 하나마도 이제바 근데 중앙에 있는 배 장시 다수 삼사체
And so then the petals of the lotus now fold over the central figure, and they are sealed, tipped by five-pronged vajra. And now they are surrounded also by, initially in a clockwise direction, the mantra of Chenrezig, in an anti-clockwise direction, the mantra of Manjushri, and in a clockwise direction, again, the mantra of dependent origination. And from this, then, light begins to emerge through the crown, through the heart center of the figure within, and bursting out through the petals. And this is kind of embodiment of all the qualities of renunciation, concentration, wisdom. They move through our whole body, from the crown of the head through the soles of the feet, and purifying all negativities that we have accumulated since beginningless time in general, and in particular engaging in the purifying of all of the 10 non-virtues of killing, stealing, of sexual misconduct, of harsh speech and divisive speech, idle gossip and divisive talk, and of covetousness and malicious intent and wrong view, of all the negativities that we have accumulated in this life and the life previous, and going back and back and back to the beginning of this time. All the naturally occurring negativities that we have engaged in, and all the infractions of vows and so on that have been established by the Buddha himself.
묘바지마 심제로 묘벨 먹고받아 저 상바서만 묘바지마 심제로 묘벨 레스마 이거 미게베 소 다이 지마다 셰기 기발을 제소로 한 셰기도 주발어서 딱 근데 토리다 타바다 탑제 기베 계속 이제 또 간제지원 봐 장시 다 섬사체 장시 다바 중소 서서 와데네 고마셰 아니 되나 루긴 나자 셈게 동에 주시 코이만이 와 자로 틸레 겨 근데 저번에 봐 다소 아니 와데네 고마셰
Also, all the vows, the infractions of vows, be they the Patimokkha vows or the Bodhisattva vows or the Tantric vows, and all negativities that we accumulated in relation to our gurus, from disrespect for our spiritual teachers, and so on, and all of the anything that is kind of created as an obstacle to our being able to proceed to higher rebirths, into liberation, and to the omniscient state of enlightenment. And that all of that has been completely cleared away, that any activities that we have engaged in ourselves, that we have encouraged others to do or rejoiced in the doing of, all of that kind of negativity is completely and utterly cleansed and purified. Where we have the elements of the body are rebalanced and retuned, and as well as our channels, winds and drops as well. And that the main obstacle to our being able to quickly progress to enlightenment being ordinary appearance that is now done away with, and we see everything in its pure appearance.
Lama Jeres good Henji chicken, so the Lama Shaja Lama Gasa Jeres Kulu Jusu, Subsacha. So the Shindo Terrace sent the Nineja Lama Jeres to the Henji chicken, so sent the Lama Jeres Tula Jusu, Rangi Lunga is Lama Jeres Kusun to go Yemen Jusu, Subsacha. Did there were the Tombat, the Donisum Shisu, Sons of Kumashishua.
And so then through the combination of my own more subtle wind acting as the substantial cause, together with the body of the Buddha acting as the cooperative Lama Chenrezig's body acting as the cooperative conditions, then my own body is transformed into the enlightened body of the Buddha, into the actual form of Chenrezig Buddha. And then through the combination of my own more subtle mind acting as the substantial cause, together with the mind of Chenrezig acting as the cooperative conditions, and my own mind is now transformed into the enlightened mind of Chenrezig. And so I see now my body, speech, and mind as being inseparable from the body, speech, and mind of Chenrezig. And this is something that completely brings rejoicing, a sense of bliss that combines with voidness, and I abide in the wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness.
What is some door shot me? What is it? And Rangi Nesari, and Koyu to get there, and Nehan to get there, and Junga Chatani, Lama Jeres, Shan Jusu, and Ran Lama Jeres, Guru, and Tugale, Jeres, bottom, subject of Tadinova, comes from the subject of Tadinova, Jeres, and comes from subject Tamjala, and then the Shuala Tene. And the data Lama Jeres Kusuto or Yeme Jusus. The Dagi near Tamja, Negan Tamja, Lama Jeres again, she had to Jusu, some such a.
The place that we're in, of course, is also transformed and purified to become the palatial abode of Chenrezig. And then seeing ourselves as that fully enlightened Chenrezig, we send out from our own heart center the light rays in the form of Chenrezig going into all the 6 realms of existence and dissolving into all the sentient beings. And they immediately arise as Chenrezig, and indeed the places in which they are purified, and they become the palatial abodes of Chenrezig also.
What is that? Comes to some Tanja, Lama Jeres, Gurjune. Lama Jeres Kusuto or Yeme Juata, and they to make the Sosu Gawakartua, they took a Soto Chava, Uden and Matua, Uden to what Dusa Yahom Alisa, not the way Patasam Res, or what the Kotachua Kumashi, and indeed they were bombarded, they don't use when she gets with some Kumashi.
And then reflecting on this attainment of leading all of these sentient beings, all of the 3 realms of existence to the state of being inseparable from Chenrezig, the virtue that has led to that, and myself as the agent of all of that, I see as completely empty of any inherent existence, and not even existing at the atomic level. And so from this arises bliss again, which combines with voidness, and I abide in the wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness.
Dana Samo Tawan, Munakura Juege, and Juru Juasho, and D Chedo, D Chedo, and Tungian Sa, Kajan, Takaja, D Chedota, Karagursa, Ransanja, Ditona, Ditovala, Ra, and it's because of the Janjusa, Tony Tobi, Shelag, and Yamet Sugar. And that Dichevala Takaja, Dichevala Kajata, Chije, Rata, Chije, Tony Tobi, Shelata, Janjuka, same give Jula, but you down to much Corva. What are the down to what you want to down to the Jura? So what the commercial?
And of course, we are operating here at the level of imagination. This doesn't kind of become a reality so quickly as that. But we can nevertheless be very clear that we are laying down very important seeds here. So this is the way we dedicate, so that we have all of the conducive conditions to be able to achieve this reality as quickly as possible, and none of the inconducive conditions that we can really develop the wisdom of emptiness, the realization of emptiness, and combine that with mind of enlightenment to really attain the true state of generality. We make the dedications in that spirit. You are Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of compassion, not ended through existence, and Manjeshri, master of flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrapani, destroyer of hordes of demons without exception. 10Apr, crown jewel of the sages of the land of snows, those on Drakwa, actually.
That's all. Thank you, everyone.